Hello and welcome, and another technical analysis video. This will contain information on Bitcoin. I'm going to talk then about the Litecoin Ethereum cross, and I might take a look and see if there's any other charts worth covering, but nothing. But those are the two I'm going to show for sure. Then we're going to finish it off with something interesting that I am seeing within the NHL. And until the Vegas bookmakers make some changes, this is a very profitable strategy. I'll talk about that when I'm done the technical analysis, because I only know a few are interested in such. But it is definitely surprising that it's a profitable play, because I mean the house always wins, meaning a blind betting strategy. Anyways, on to Bitcoin. All bets trades of the like within one's own each risk reward. So let's talk about candle by candle, starting with the bottom. So the bottom was just that. It was a sideways small move. It was definitely making you think, okay, 3,000's coming anytime. Well, no, it didn't. And the next day, continuation of the same, although it didn't test the lows within the low volatility. It tested the highs. Of course, remaining below the 18. And then the next session on the 17th, it rallies up pretty much to the highs, and it closes there as well. So that's enough to, at least if it doesn't sell off immediately, sideways it or make the band flatten. And sure was the case when it continued to rally, closing above it. Then the next session, interestingly enough, had one of those, what some people would call a bearish candle, but definitely not in this spot. And I'll tell you why. Because you have this move and it comes back down. Well, it was approaching the 18 average. The only problem is that was a noticeable low to where the 18 average of highs was. 4. Moving from this high to the low, you'd expect the price to at least to have came down to 35.85, maybe even to 34. But no, it only came down to 36 low change instead. Then the next day it has a very good rally, breaking the previous day's resistance. And then it comes back down, but it did the exact same thing again. Because this session, it didn't come down the 18 lows. It rallied a little higher. And, well, same thing here. As this red candle coming down, noticeably above such, and we're starting to see momentum going higher. So now, how's the retracement from point high to this point low? Let's take a look at it short term. And in doing such, I'm going to move it to the Coinbase exchange. Got all my nice little fun lines in here, and well, let's move this first to the single hour. So the move that I'm looking for again is from the highs of December the 20th. So we'll do 4-hour term. You know what? We'll go back to the single hour. We'll just do it this way. So then, we have what is that successful correction, this pattern which originally was looking bearish originally, but as it was moving on, adjusting to the message of the market. Oh, I adjusted mine and I was very impressed, and well, no surprise to see what it's doing now. And now I'm looking at the last 5 hours, correcting its move via time, and even grinding a little bit up. If I look at this on the 5-minute, I would presume yes, because grinding its way up is having all of these higher lows in place. So definitely looking as if it might make a move, because breaking this resistance, I'll be looking for a play to go to about 48.5. And boy, is Ethereum ever on the run right now. Well, when you look at this chart, this is going back to 2015. Overall, it has been in an uptrend, but very choppy. We take a look at this amongst other time frames. So in here, you have just the big moves that can occur back and forth. And if you are a holder of both coins and you like both of them and you trade, and by the way, this is Ethereum Bitcoin. And I'm confused because I'm supposed to be looking at Ethereum versus Litecoin, and I really was confused because I know the chart's not supposed to look like this. So Maybe it's because it's 11:45 at night when I'm doing this, but let's take a look at the Litecoin cross. And this is what I wanted to show. And if you're trading both Litecoin and Ethereum, sell, buy. Sell up here, maybe a buy down here. Definitely selling up here and the instant buyback. Sell up here, buy down here, sell up here, buy down here, sell up here. Oh, by the way, I just had a buy order get filled right around here. But when you look at this from the perspective of its trade, this is merely a mathematical division of Litecoin prices and Ethereum prices divided each other. For when markets of these coins get traded, they're going to be primarily focused on its two crosses against the US dollar and against Bitcoin. And therefore, because of the art of the arbitrage, this has no choice but to move up and down within the division. And as a trader holding both coins, by using the buy low, sell high strategy amongst this cross, what this does is it helps you sell Ethereum when it's going up and sell Litecoin when it's going up on the solo level or majorly outperforming it in a bull run. And then the opposite when they have decent sized falls. For Ethereum has been getting its ass kicked this year. And look at the run from the start of January. Litecoin goes up, and then the run from July up until September. So during such that market, of course, Litecoin gaining strength upon Ethereum. And then by doing so, you'll just notice that you'll just get small, whatever your volatility is. Either way, you only get like okay gains. If you have small volatility, you only get small gains as it is. And within large volatility, you only get so many trades along the way. But you still see how the levels of the low to highs, you go from the 10 handle up to 25, down to 13, and then so on and so forth, with the big one coming at over 50, down to 13. So that's still a 4x move. And when you're looking at things like the forex markets, like the US dollar versus any of these combinations against any of these combinations, the US dollar, Japanese yen, Canadian, euro, Australian dollar, any of those, you have one against another, then you're just going to have these kinds of moves. But to get this kind of volatility in currencies, it just doesn't happen. And quickly before we move on to NHL hockey, well, interestingly, I've been talking about monetary unit. There's a little bit of a failed sell-off, it's looking like, because it comes back down. I mean, the fact that it, I don't know if you want to call it, either way, from this move, breaking this resistance, it sure looks to me as if this might be ready for a leg higher, given how this level of resistance has now really been solidly taken out, because it got above this morning at 7, so we'll have to be about the 600 handle, we'll call it, and then it had its comeback and it's now just breaking it. So that's and considering that this 600 handle was resistance back on December the 10th, on here we can see that it's probably gonna, well, if this is point high and point low, this isn't much of a leg higher right now. I mean, yeah, it counts. I think we got at least another many a percent to go before this can go into play of a key top. And these things can go when they go. When you look at the previous size moves that this has had before, I mean, I don't know if it's ready, we'll find out, but it wouldn't surprise me if it does do something like that, or a good move coming soon. But mathematically and probability odds, the chances of some great event of like a 4x in like whatever decent period of time, or an 80% move, any of those are much higher for probability odds to occur at this given time than it was anywhere in here. All right then. So for those for watching the charts, but to tune out. Thank you for tuning in. And now let's talk about hockey and a blind play that is actually winning. And when I say blind play, that means you just literally go every day. You make your bets, and you're gonna have several bets per day. Like every game, you're gonna bet. And I got a play that's got 60 wins, 100 losses, overall 37.5% winners over the last 160 plays, or since December 1st, not counting the last two games on this night, December 22nd. Right now, both games are probably they're not looking good right now to win. So it looks like it might go to 60 and 102. I'm hoping that one of them at least win because I'm playing both sides to win. But the American dream to be able to just easily make bets without, and just easily just go in there, look to see what the who's playing, and then just quickly bet every game, because the meta game is changing. It used to be when I started watching hockey, I watched Wayne Gretzky as an Edmonton Oiler winning Stanley Cups, and there was a lot of goals, like 7-4 games were common. Patrick Waugh once led the league in goals against average, allowing around 3 goals a game. That was just crazy. There was a lot of goals. And then as the 90s came, the average fell below 6 goals a game. And it just kept rapidly declining as the New Jersey Devils brought the trap in the mid-1990s, which then brought it down to 5.5 goals a game. And it got even worse to the point where it would go to 5 goals a game in the early 2000s, or when the 2000s started. And then it got worse and pretty much went under 5 goals a game during the Anaheim versus New Jersey Stanley Cup Finals, and that was the most sickest betting lines I've ever seen for totals ever in the history of hockey, was that Stanley Cup Final. And then the lockout, and then the scoring came back, so then the 4.5 came back to a little over 5. The 5.5 became common basically up until about 2 years ago. And the NHL average goals per game is somewhere around 6.2, 6.3. It's sick how much goals. But it goes deeper than that, though. When you watch teams and how they pull goalies with 3 minutes left, down by 1, 2 minutes left. If you don't pull them with 2 minutes left, what's wrong? And literally, it used to be you pull it with 1 minute left in the game, maybe 2 minutes left if you were down by 2. Well, if you're down by 2 today, you might as well pull it with 4 minutes left in the game, or 4.5. So with that being said, a lot of those 1-goal games become 2-goal games now because of the extra empty net time. And shooters are very good at shooting from longer range compared to before. Thus, the empty net goals, not only by forwards but by goalies, happen a lot more than they used to. And is Vegas not changing their lines accordingly? Well, let's take a look at some statistics. Because how I got them, and they're definitely unofficial when I'm doing it this way, but -1 means the game lost, and when it's number like this was what the payout would have been. And this is Pinnacle closing odds. So I kept on going. I mean, December 18th, you had 3 winners and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 losers. So you would have lost that day. But I did this all the way through, and then putting this into a spreadsheet, what I came up with, it's up positive 7.48 units. So that works out to about a little under 5% ROI. And this is every single favorite since December. Not even bound to guess that the November and October stats would be positive as well. I could check them out. It was a little time consuming, but it was faster as I was getting in tune with doing it, and most likely more reliable. But that's still a decent sized gain on such a very simple method. It's always going to come down again to finding the ones that are better to pick than others, especially games with higher totals, and Eastern Conference games over the Western Conference variety too. It's a little more stingier, older school when you're looking at teams like Anaheim and those Arizona 2-1 type teams this year. Not too many teams are defensive anymore. but that still translates into positive. I'd also venture and guessing that taking the underdog at the -1.5 line would also be profitable. You're not going to win 37.5%. Don't expect to win that often. But when you're getting the high payouts, and you'd be getting like 3-1, 4-1, 4.5, 5-1 on these underdogs to win by 2, simply because they're the underdogs. But my last little thing that I did on my research was I got all these stats in, and then what I seen was on December the 1st, at the start of the month, I took 4 games. Vegas was plus 230 on the puck line as a money line -113 favorite. I did one a little bit bigger. Arizona was a -138 and the puck line was plus 197. Pittsburgh that night was -180 on the money line and they were plus 136 on the puck line. And Nashville was -220 on the money line and plus 121 on the puck line. In today's game, Winnipeg is -144. That's close to this Arizona one. And the puck line then was 197. So this is a little bit lower by 20 basis points. And this is only higher by 6. So that might state there that maybe that would be a case of that them having adjusted a bit. But also, no, Arizona's a defensive team. So in that case, maybe they're adjusting it a little bit because the over-under was lower. That's something else of consideration. But looking at a couple other ones, Calgary's -179, the money line, the puck line's plus 148. Pittsburgh was -180, and back then the puck line was 136. That's pretty much the exact same money line and then a better puck line. And here's a situation where Buffalo Sabres today were -110, only 3 points worse than what Vegas was on this night. Yet their puck line was 14 points better. So they're not really changing it from the looks of it. And when looking deeper into this, what I have here is every NHL game up until the afternoon session, or up until December the 21st. And what this has is the home team winning 305 games and the road team winning 239. The home team won 198 of their games by 2 or more goals, which by simple mathematics means they won 107 by 1 goal. The road team has won 122 goals and by 2 goals, and they've won 239 games total, which means it's closer to an even par. It would be 122 wins by double figures and 117 by that of single figures. So that's an interesting dichotomy, differential in statistics. The only reason I can show you these stats is because I'm going to get like 20, 30, or 40, 50 views, at least from this point on. And I don't think any smart sportsbook operator in Vegas is going to see this and start changing the lines so that when we start to see money lines at, say, -144, the puck line goes to 155, or -179 puck lines are now plus 120. And then the -110 puck lines go to like plus 190 or plus 200 kind of deal. I don't think that's going to happen yet, but that's what has to happen for this to really become a, I think, negative ROI. If you see metagame changes, like they go back to pulling their goalie with a minute left, then yeah, that would change it. But there's real no evidence for it. And the reason I think that these coaches are pulling their goalies so early is because they have done so many scientific tests and using with computers, doing a lot of situations, seeing over 1 million times what happens if you pull your goalie with 1 minute left, 2 minutes left, 3 minutes left. And they've probably found out statistically, oh my goodness, it's so much more of an advantage to do it with 2 minutes left compared to 1. And then even this year, it's been more aggressive than that. It's probably This again, the same thing. People are figuring, these coaches are figuring out if we pull our goalie with 2 minutes and 35 seconds left, utilize our timeout at this time, doing all the strategies they can to implement time this way, which is again causing this spot. Now, why the home team has this such dichotomy, I'm not sure. What I'm probably going to do now, and I'm not going to do this tonight, is just check out home favorites only and see how they do against that number. But for now, thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.